Well, hello, my fellow caramellers. How are you doing today? I brought back, well, actually, I hadn't put them away yet, so I thought I'd do this video that I said in the last video that I was going to do a little comparison thing, a little more investigating, learning a little more about these. So I pulled out of the stash this kit here, which is actually, the origins of this kit is more MPC. It's really not AMT, because it comes from this kit right here. If any of you remember this MPC Charger 500, this kit, and this is basically their same kit, except they did a couple of changes to make it into a Daytona. We're going to compare MPCs, and these are old MPCs, and we're going to take a look at the differences from these two kits that were around since about the 80s, maybe the 70s. I think they came out in the 80s compared to these old 70s ones. What do you say? Let's move on and get into this. Alrighty then. Well, let's do a little look in here first. Let's move this. I'm going to put that one there. And let me shuffle a few things on my amazingly messy workbench. I'm going to put that one there. What do you say? Let's take a look at this kit real quick. This one, about 1987, this kit was released. Look at that beautiful yellow. Thank you very much. And this was the Charger 500, which was the Duke's car. I believe this was pretty much part of that whole line. The interior. What we want to do, I mean, we're not going to spend a lot of time looking. I'll pull this out. Really looking at this kit. We're not so much examining the kits, but there you go. You got your Charger 500 grill. Remember that. And yeah, this thing had a lot of cool. Look at those. Those are really cool wheels, actually. And they always had those cool wheels in this kit. You could do some really neat builds with this. Very basic. I mean, look at the chassis. Very basic, but even though it had your metal axles, you still have a kind of a, you know, molded in exhaust rear end. It's okay. But let's get that out of the way. I'm going to throw this guy over here. Actually, real quick. Let's go ahead and pop that interior tub into it. And we can set it over there for right now. And now we've got this kit we're going to look at. This, I think this is the first version of when they kind of revamped that Charger 500 into a Daytona. This kit came out in 1990. Beautiful. Came in white. Thank you. Came in white. But we're looking at, there's really not a lot of change. One thing I do want to show you, I'm going to pull out the basics again. Let's see, we've got the nose. Let's get the pieces of the wing out. I want this hood. Wing, thigh. And we might as well pull these out to show these side skirts right here. These go on the front fenders in order to get the front fender to blend in with that nose. We'll show you that here in a minute. Looks like the chassis are exactly the same. There we go. Now, we're going to start with the bodies here. Okay, all this stuff, shove it over out of the way. These two bodies are pretty much exactly the same tooling. I don't think, even in the front, there's no modifications to the nose area. And this is the Daytona. The white one's the Daytona. The yellow one is the Charger 500. There is absolutely no change whatsoever in the nose. The 69 Daytona, I believe there were no sheet metal changes. Now, I'm not an expert on these. You can go ahead and tell me down in the comments if you know better than me. But I believe that the fenders were not altered at all. That what they did is kind of like in this model, you had these fillers. Let's get the correct filler. You had a filler here that went onto the fender like such. and then the nose cone just fit on there, and you can see where it needs to have the filler done. But you know what? Check this out. We'll take this, the Charger 500. Yeah, that fits on there. Oh, look how they had it where you got that filler piece right there. You see that? There's like a filler right here, smoothing in the nose into the fender and the nose. It's all smoothed in. So if you have that all here, I'm going to be doing the impossible, trying to hold on to everything, and then this fits onto there, and there you go. You have your Daytona front end on your Charger 500. So they did not do any modifications whatsoever. There is one change when this kit came out, because check this out. Before I'm getting ahead of myself, but on the chrome tree for the Daytona, trust me with this, is the Charger 500 grill. And you can basically, if you have that Daytona kit, this Daytona kit, you can build kind of sort of the Charger 500. Later issues, I don't think that the grill was available. I remember I actually used to cast the grill and the hood, and I'll tell you why, to use on later issues of the MPC AMT Daytona, if you wanted to do a Charger 500. Because here's where the difference is. Here's your hood. This is your Charger 500 hood. This is your Daytona hood. They actually did do a tool change. Can you see that on the, let's get that where it's cut in the blue. Do you see the difference? See how this is a lot more rounded? This is a little more flatter to fit that nose. So just to show you, we'll put this on here onto the yellow one, which is the Charger 500 body. It'll work. You can go ahead and put your Charger 500 grill in, and it'll work kind of sort of, but this is the proper hood for the Charger 500. It comes out a little more. So if you just take a Charger 500 grill that's offered in this version of the Daytona kit, and you want to make a Charger 500, you can, but you're going to have a little bit of the top of the grill showing because the Daytona hood is different. And it also has, the Daytona has some, engraving of, or tooling of hood pins, where the Charger 500 does not. You can even see where they cut this down, how this raised little center spear or whatever on the hood, it kind of stops right there where you still got more hood going. So there's your big differences between the Charger 500 kit and the Daytona. I'm going to put the Charger 500 away. We're just going to keep this one out, because now let's do some comparisons here. This is going to be interesting. I'm winging it here, friends, because this is all first time seeing for me. And even just looking at the bottom here, do we see any DNA? I do see some DNA there. That's kind of interesting. The chassis almost looks like the same chassis, but the body does look different. Now, they did NASCAR this one out. Look at that. They did bring the wheel well up higher on this body. I'm liking this body a lot. And of course, this whole front end, everything looks different. There's no filler panels. There's none of this add-on here. It's already done in the tooling of the body. And let's take a look at nose to nose. They seem, let's see, they seem to be totally different. Yeah, you look at that grill. Can you see the difference in the grills? In the engraving of the grill, everything about it, even underneath. you can kind of see that it is totally different tooling. There's nothing the same here. Something I'm noticing we're going to get to that is actually incorrect. There's this right here where you have the 69 character lines here, and they were covered up with this filler there. I don't think that's correct for a 69 Daytona, and we're going to get to why that's happening. Hood. The hood is completely different. One thing about the hood is this had this cool hinging system. The hoods are totally different. Even the different, there's the hood pins on the 1990 version. This is the 1970. I think this kit came out in 71 when they started pumping out the NASCAR series, MPC. Where you can see there's 3 little hood pin engravings where, and of course is there? Yeah, it's covered up by the decal. There is the blinker lights right there. Those are for the driver to see your blinker activations. But you have that cool hinge system. The under the hood's totally different. No nightmare here for the hood scoop cutout. We hate those a lot. But this actually had a hinge system where this was just a pull-off hood with the little pins right there. But there was at least some engraving under there. This was just all flat. So it's a totally different hood. You're watching the Luka C channel on YouTube. Everything that I see, this could possibly be a retooling of this kit, but this kind of is interesting because I'm going to bring in something else here shortly. There's enough DNA in this that I believe that this kit, I think they retooled it into a 69, and this is going to answer the mystery of why for so many years were we dealing with the Dukes of Hazzard car, the General Lee, having the plug in the back. You see how it has just that flush? That was a Charger 500 deal, and we had got that in the tell me down below. I'm not for sure. I didn't think about researching this. I wasn't prepared. I want to say the Dukes of Hazzard kit came out in 1980. That was the first time we saw MPC put out the Dukes of Hazzard Charger. That was our first 69 Charger since these days. And we're going to be coming into this 70 Charger here in a moment. And of course, this has a lot of engraving changes, but this is what we had for a while for a Charger. They came out with this kit. And I believe they did one other one, which was the Dick Brooks car that raced at the 71 Daytona 500. It was, I believe it was the only win car that ran in the 71 Daytona 500, because they had not totally outlawed these by 71, but if anybody wanted to come to the Daytona 500 with one of these in 1971, they had to be really down on the engine size. The cubic inch displacement couldn't be more than 305, or it could have been 310, but it ran a 305 inch displacement. And by the way, Dick Brooks looked like he was going to win that race with the small engine, because these cars were still so slick, if it wasn't for the fact that the engine gave out. No! So let's move this one out of the way. We'll just set that here. Let's look at this. This is the 70 Charger, which was an annual kit. And of course, 70 was completely different in the fenders, front fenders. And we're going to take this hood off. So we're going to be looking at the hood. You can see this has the same hood. This, of course, is a screw-in type chassis, but it looks like it's almost kind of the same chassis. Just kind of up. It is. It's pretty much the same chassis, just kind of updated and getting rid of the screw holes, which you could see still evidence of screw holes. I wonder if you can still see evidence of the screw holes. Yeah, you still see evidence of the screw holes. So you know that that's where the DNA is all still here in these kits, which brings you all the way into even the most recent of General Lee's, which was that one that they un-General Lee'd it. But here we go with the 70, back to the 70. Okay? Totally different fenders on the 70. Totally different bumper setup with grills. This time they had a bumper instead of the fenders going all the way out to the end. And yeah, look what we have here. We have our, what we talk about, remember, Charger 500s and the Daytonas had this, what was an actual plug that was put in and all sealed up around here so that you could have a flush back window for aerodynamics, where the Chargers, the regular Chargers, had these, what they call the tunnel. That had to be all retooled. Now what they ended up doing is to make this car, this kit came out after this, because now MPC was gearing up to do their whole NASCAR series, and they were doing, they were getting into being the race car model company. So they were doing their drag race series and they were doing their NASCAR series. And one of the very first ones they did was the Bobby Isaac K&K insurance car, this one right here. So what they did is they took the tooling for this 70. That's why you'll never see this again. They had to put this plug in with the flush back window, and then they had to, they had to start working those front fenders, and you can see the front fenders, it's pretty much, it looks like it's a lot of the still this front fender, the 70. Let's do this, door line to door line. Yeah, they're shaped different. It's hard to tell. There's some differences there in that frontal area. So they made a new tool of the nose, added it to actually the 70, it looks like. Now, I got a message from someone who's a viewer, and I hope I don't ruin your name, Craig, but Craig Kermack or Searmack, he sent me a really cool message. He said this: just saw your 71 Charger, 70 Charger plus Charger Daytona episode. Your Charger Daytona is really an early version, as it still has the 70 Charger RT door scoops. You see that? They left those on. See that? Which is incorrect for a 69 Daytona. The Charger Daytona kit was made by modifying the 70 Charger RT tooling, and at first they forgot to remove these scoops. And then of course he also mentioned that this kit also has those angled hood hinges. Angled hood hinges. And he says that this was changed later on. The hood hinges and these scoops were changed on later Daytonas, which that would be probably the Dick Brooks. And now I want to get a hold of a Dick Brooks car, the model, and see the differences between the Dick Brooks one and this one. I wonder if that's where this came from. Who knows? And I want to thank you, Craig, for sending that little information. That helped out a lot for all of us. Now everybody knows. I hope I said your name right, but I did put it, right there on the screen. So you can see, you can see the changes, and they did a lot of changes to that front fender to make it into the Daytona. It looks kind of handmade almost. It's weird. It's very strange looking. Looks carved out and kind of done pretty quick. So where these have just a little bit better shape to them and everything, but yeah, that's pretty interesting. So this is basically a modified this, which they kind of backdated, but this could be the answer where they probably took this and started off with to give us this body, which became, which I'm kind of looking, this one's very soft. They're very soft on the character line down the side, I noticed. It's very soft there, where it's a little more pronounced on that, but it looks like they did a lot of retooling, but they might have come with this and did a lot of retooling or recarving of this tool to make this. And this could be the answer. I'm not 100%, but that could be why for so many years when they go, hey, we got to do a Dukes of Hazzard because this is like the hit TV show, they come out with the General Lee And this is what we got for the General Lee. It's basically a General Lee right here. And that's why we always had to deal with the incorrect rear glass on the General Lee. I'm really digging this. It's so cool to have this. I like this a lot. I never was a fan of the 70 Charger until I started looking at this model right here. I'm liking it. And then I've been really loving this thing. These are so cool. And now it gives me an idea. This here is spawning an idea for this car right here, this kit, which is my Daytona. And then we got the Charger 500 with its crazy hood. That was a lot of fun. Crazy stuff. I'm just really I like these cars. I'm really digging them. It was a lot of fun to play around with these and look at them and get an idea of what the heck is going on here. Just to top it off, it does look like that our later General Lee and then Charger 500 and then the Daytona came from really this car right here. And this was probably a retooling of the original 69. I think they did a 66 through 670 Chargers annually. And they would just kind of fix and fix and fix. Which, that's why it has. This is probably the last of the screw-in chassis. Because by 71, they eliminated that nightmare. No more of that noise. I need an MPC Dick Brooks Daytona. If anybody out there has it, contact me. Send me some pictures. Let's see what we can get. And I'll do another update, maybe on the Facebook group. If whoever's on there, just put them on the Facebook group. Let's do a discussion over there. And if you're not on the Luka C Model Car Hobby Headquarters Facebook group, down in the description below is a link to it, or you can just find it. Go to Facebook, find it. A lot of great talking over there. A lot of great model building. There's thousands of model builders on there, literally. It's almost becoming the biggest model car Facebook group on, well, Facebook. So, and we are tough on there. We don't allow any bullshit whatsoever. Damn! On that group. So people are really feeling safe. You're not going to have any meanies. If you do, they get bounced out of there. Nobody's going to judge your model and tell you, call you names or anything like that. We don't go for that there. It's a great modeling group. So get on over there. If you are an owner of the Dick Brooks, I guess that was a Mario Rossi Daytona from the MPC NASCAR series, please share some photos of that. Let's see what they changed, how much they changed on it from this one. And if you happen to have this one and that one, if you can do some comparison photographs, wow, we would be really, really grateful. So, wow, I've been thinking about this video for 2 days, been wanting to do it, and I feel like I didn't do that good of a job. So, oh well. Hope we understand it. I probably screwed some things up. I'm flying by the cuff of my brain here, and we know how difficult my brain is. My brain is very difficult. So, but we do this for a reason. Why do we do this thing with model cars? Because it's fun. Here's the producers.